I'm here with Alexander Mercurse, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's do a quick follow-up video to the one that we did on the UK ambassador and the leaked emails that got into the hands of the Daily Mail, where the UK ambassador was just, laying it on Trump and just calling him all kinds of things, inept, incompetent, just all kinds of really nasty stuff. I mean, you said that Trump was not going to take too kindly to it, and sure enough, he is not. Let me read you Trump's response that he put forth on Twitter, which is not very flattering for the UK ambassador, Mr. Kim Darroch, and not very flattering for Theresa May and everything that's happened all the way up to Brexit. So let me read you the tweets, and you can try to make sense as to what's going on, because we have a lot of theories as to, who leaked this stuff, why was it leaked, so on and so forth. So you can break it down. And here are Trump's tweets. The wacky ambassador that the UK foisted upon the United States is not someone we are thrilled with. A very stupid guy. He should speak to his country and Prime Minister May about their failed Brexit negotiation and not be upset with my criticism of how badly it was handled. I told Theresa May how to do that deal, but she went her own foolish way, was unable to get it done. A disaster. I don't know the ambassador, but have been told he is a pompous fool. Tell him the USA now has the best economy and military anywhere in the world by far, and they are both only getting bigger, better, and stronger. Thank you, Mr. President. Alexander, what do you make of Trump's response to the UK ambassador, to Theresa May, and everything that's being theorized as to, how this happened?
Well, I think as a commentator, it is exactly what I expected, and is what I said would happen in our last program when we covered this subject. And as a British citizen, it is exactly what I feared, because you can't go around talking about the President of the United States if you are the ambassador to the United States in the kind of way that Sir Kim was doing. I mean, what he was saying in his memos, in his reports to the British government, was absolutely horrifying. I mean, that's not the way diplomacy is conducted. Even if you want to be critical of the United States and of its president, and there's nothing that says an ambassador should not be critical of the government that he is, an ambassador to, you should always write in a measured and factual way. Now, there's one thing I took from this statement of these comments of Trump: the fact that he doesn't actually know this ambassador. Now, that's extraordinary. Once upon a time, the British ambassador was somebody who absolutely the US president would have known. And going back further in time, there have been periods of time in British history and British and American history when British ambassadors have been very important people in Washington. The British ambassador during the Second World War, Lord Halifax, was very, very closely involved with the Roosevelt administration and played an absolutely key role in consolidating the wartime alliance between Britain and the United States. And perhaps even more importantly, during the time of John F. Kennedy, when John F. Kennedy was president, again, the British ambassador at that time was a regular visitor to the White House. So it's a sign how low relations have sunk, that this ambassador apparently is not seen in the White House, spent his time sending reports back to London, which I'm going to say it frankly, look to me like they're based basically on newspaper stories and gossip that he's picked up from low-level State Department officials. And Donald Trump is absolutely right to criticize Theresa May, because Theresa May is the Prime Minister. Boris Johnson and then Jeremy Hunt were her foreign secretaries. As Prime Minister, she should be reading the embassy cables from Washington. She should have seen this hopeless ambassador for what he was, and she should have recalled him. Instead of doing that, she's standing by him. Now, I find that amazing. I think the moment those cables appeared in the Daily Mail, he should have been immediately recalled. And I know there are many theories circulating about why these cables were published. And I know some people think that it was done on purpose in order to destroy Sir Kim's career. But quite frankly, after the publication of cables like this, he should have been recalled. And keeping him in place at a time when Britain needs the United States more than ever in light of Brexit, which may or may not happen in October, I think it speaks again of Theresa May's disastrously bad judgment that she hasn't immediately recalled him and that she hasn't sent a very, very big and honest and sincere letter of apology to the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
That's because she's probably not sorry, is she? I mean,
well, she's not sorry. I mean, that's clearly the case. I mean, we've spoken many times on our programs about how Donald Trump and Theresa May probably don't get on very well. In fact, they don't get on very well. It's hardly a secret that Theresa May's great friend in international politics is Angela Merkel, and Angela Merkel is just about the leader that Donald Trump despises most. So, I mean, it's clear that Theresa May has no time for Donald Trump. She's about to leave office very soon anyway. She's days away from leaving office, and she obviously doesn't care very much about what happens to the country because this ambassador is kept in place. I, by the way, think that it's only a matter of time before he's recalled, and the next Prime Minister, who will of course be Boris Johnson, I'm sure will recall him.
so let's wrap this up by trying to maybe, come up with some better understanding as to why, these cables came about, why they were leaked. Because we came up with some theories in our last video. We said it could be civil servants who are very pro EU Remain. Now there are theories coming out that say this was actually done now to harm, like you said, to harm Ambassador Kim.
Yes.
And to benefit Boris Johnson, to try and get someone that's pro-Brexit as ambassador. Reading all these different ideas and theories as to why this happened and who leaked these cables and why they were leaked and the timing of their leak. What would you say now, Alexander, as to why this occurred?
Well, I have to say, I still tend to stick with our original theory that whoever was behind this is trying to create trouble between Britain and the United States, probably because they want to burn bridges between Britain and the United States in order to stop Brexit by stripping Britain of an American alternative. Now, I know that there are theories, a fair number of theories, that this is a personal issue, that somebody doesn't like the ambassador, Sir Kim. And I've heard stories, by the way, that he's actually, and that doesn't surprise me, a very abrasive man. That that he uses swear words from time to time. I'm not the only person who says that. There's an article by Craig Murray in which he says that Sir Kim, basically his career took off during the Blair years and afterwards, when there was a major lowering of standards, not just in the quality of British diplomats, but in the way they conducted themselves. And this is an example. So, it could be that there are personal motivations involved. But given the seriousness of this issue, and given the enormous danger to someone's career by leaking memos like this, these reports, and the way it was done in association with the Daily Mail, which is, of course, a very strong conservative newspaper, I can't help thinking that there is a political agenda behind this. I don't see why it would be Boris Johnson, because as Prime Minister, Boris Johnson will pick his own foreign secretary and can sack an ambassador whenever he wishes. I mean,
Right.
there's nothing to prevent him doing that. If he's not happy with the ambassador in Washington, he could just sack him and appoint his own person. So I tend to take a more political view of this. And as I said, it seems to me that part of the intention of this is to play up to British prejudices or liberal prejudices against Trump. I mean, these are all the sort, all the things this man has said in his memos are the sort of things you read about Donald Trump in the British media every day, because the British media is every bit as liberal as the US mainstream media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN are. And I mean, they reflect the same views of Donald Trump that you find in those places. So I think it's partly intended to reinforce British prejudices against the United States and also to antagonize the Trump administration and to make them more suspicious of the British at the time when Brexit is hanging by a thread and when some people probably don't want the option of Britain leaving the EU and doing a deal with the US become real. One thing, by the way, which gives weight to that argument, as far as I'm concerned, is that the newspaper in which all this was published, the Daily Mail, is a conservative right-wing newspaper, but it has been pretty lukewarm about Brexit. And it very, very strongly backed Theresa May and her deal. So if somebody was wanting to remove an anti-Brexit ambassador, I would have thought the more likely newspaper to have leaked all these memos to would have been the Daily Telegraph rather than the Daily Mail.
So once again, to finish it off, Alexander, this is really all about Brexit again. I mean, all of this is always centering around this Brexit unfinished business, which is really what it is.
I have to say, that's my feeling. And it's difficult for people outside Britain to understand the extent to which Brexit dominates everything. I mean, every political story that you read or hear coming out of Britain has Brexit at the bottom. I mean, even these allegations that you constantly hear about Jeremy Corbyn being soft on anti-Semitism in the Labour Party and soft on anti-Semites in the Labour Party, or even, God help us, being an anti-Semite himself. The kind of people who are circulating them are very, very anti-Brexit and basically want to see the back of Jeremy Corbyn because they don't think he is anti-Brexit enough. So, I mean, it always, in the end, comes down to this issue of Brexit. And it will continue to do so up to the moment when we finally leave.
Exactly.
That's one reason why I think we urgently need to leave in Britain, and we need to leave in the most conclusive and unqualified way, because up to that moment when that happens, our politics are completely contaminated by this thing.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. It just hangs over the head of the entire UK. It's just a big dark cloud. It needs to just get settled.
Exactly.
And just move forward.
Exactly. We can then start seeing politics begin to work like normal. And they're not doing so at the moment, because what we're seeing is this constant maneuvering by the Remainer establishment to try to overturn a referendum result that they absolutely detest. And they're using every single trick in the book in order to achieve it.
Yeah, excellent point. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on that subscribe button. Click on the notifications bell. Smash that like button. Share the channel with everybody you know. Share it on BitChute. Share it on, we are on BitChute. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Minds. Share it on Gab. Get the channel out there. Help us reach a bigger audience. We really appreciate it. Alexander, people can also help us out by donating to us on PayPal, Patreon, and on Subscribestar. And you can also really help us out by going to the Duran shop, picking up a Duran shirt, a Duran polo, a Duran V-neck, Duran mugs.
Duran mugs. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you my mugs now because my wife and my father-in-law are drinking tea from them as I am speaking. They love the mugs so much. And I'm going to ask you, by the way, Alex, this is my request to you. We need more mugs because I need to start distributing to them to members of my family because they are so thrilled by these mugs that I can't basically just have two. I must have more. I understand the alpha mugs are the mugs with the alpha Secret Service are heading my way. Yeah. So the alpha unit, for everybody to know, by the way, is the Russian Special Air Service, Special Boat Service, the U.S. Navy SEALs, Delta Force. They are the Russian absolute super elite military formation. They did an extraordinary thing, by the way. One of the most famous actions happened in 1979 when they stormed the palace of the president of Afghanistan, who was at that time anti-Russian. His name was Hafizullah Amin, and I gather it's about 20 of them. And they defeated something like 300 guards. I mean, it's an absolutely unbelievable episode. And as I said, they single-handed managed to storm this massive palace, heavily guarded palace. So Alpha is, a really, really mean, tough outfit, apparently superbly disciplined, and it's one of the best elite forces in the world. The Russians, of course, will tell you it's the best elite force in the world. So, of course, if they're the best elite force in the world, they must have the best tea mugs, and that's what we produce. And Putin, of course, himself drinks tea from mugs, and in commemoration of that fact, we've also produced a mug with the Russian symbol, which is exactly like the one that Putin was sporting at the recent summit in Osaka. So you see, the Russians know how to do diplomacy. The British don't, as we've discussed on this program. The Russians come along, they show their symbol, they have a mug with them, which is really superb quality with the Russian symbol, and their president drinks tea from it. And if you want to be as diplomatically successful as Putin is, then, of course, you will buy a mug just like that one. And you can buy it from our shop. It is on sale there. You can also buy shirts like this. I mean, this is my wonderful long-sleeved T-shirt. Now, I'm in the country at the moment, in the English countryside, far from London, but I've been walking my dogs in this shirt, and the weather's been very changeable. We've had, between mid-20s centigrade and, about around 15 degrees centigrade, and it's perfect in all those weathers. I've been climbing mountains. I've been near streams where, as I said, Isaac Walton used to fish. So that will give you some idea of my location, by the way. And I've sent you, I think, a picture of some, a little while ago.
Yeah, we put them on Instagram. So people can check it out there with your dogs.
And where you can get a good sight of my two dogs. So you can help us by buying one of these wonderful shirts, 100% cotton, incredibly comfortable, great for the indoors, great for the outdoors, great for social occasions, great for any occasion, in fact, and you can help yourself too. So what's stopping you from doing it?
All right. And if anyone wants to see those pics, you can follow us on Instagram, the Duran_com. Alexander Mercurs, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.